It's Moser Monday here on the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here, Petey, Sean, and he's back from the dead. It's the one and only Craig Morgan. Craig, how are you feeling?
I'm back. I'm 100%.
The people were worried.
Yeah, I appreciate the concern. It was nip and tuck for a while, but feeling good. Feeling good again.
Well,
got that burst of energy that comes after you've been sick for so long because I've been bored. I binged on like Tom Hardy movies and things like that. So
good.
Well, good move.
I'm glad that you're feeling better. We're happy to have you back. And we got Moser Monday ahead of us.
Moser Monday.
Every Monday we've been taking deep dives into various Coyotes players, and we've done a lot of forwards. So we thought it's time to, shine a light on some defensemen. So of course we have a PD's Puck Talk coming in the next segment, but before we get to that and learn all about JJ Moser's game, let's just talk about JJ Moser as a whole and where the heck he came from. It kind of feels like he bursted on the scene 2 years ago and then played 82 games last season, and now it's like he's an everyday NHL player.
Yeah.
And we didn't necessarily know that 2 years ago. But why don't you kind of paint the picture, Craig, of JJ Moser's path?
I mean, they got him they got a second round pick in everybody knows the Andrew Ladd trade by now, what they gave up, which was absolutely nothing. They took on Andrew Ladd. They got a few picks. One of those was JJ Moser, who came in the 2021 second round at number 60 overall. I knew pretty early on they were scouting the hell out of this kid because Corey Proman reached out to me and told me they were really, really onto this kid and they were very interested in him. There was some question over whether how they were going to acquire him, whether they could sign him, they needed to draft him. I remember having to sort through all of that, but they were obviously really high on this kid. Having said that, and even though he's a little bit older, so a little bit more mature, I would say it was a bit of a surprise when he came over that first season. The assumption was he's going to be in Tucson for the year. He's going to need that year to develop, and he was up pretty quickly, and he blew the coaching staff away with how he performed, how mature he was on the ice. I remember the first game he played, and I was coming down the tunnels at Gila River Arena, and Bill Armstrong was walking, and he looks at me, he goes, JJ Moser, how about that kid? And from that point on, it's been a pretty steady rise for this kid.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's funny. You talked about the trade with Andrew Ladd, and it's just, again, not the human being. It was just a draft pick, so it's just on paper. But that pick got traded from Colorado to the Islanders in the Devon Taves trade. So that he got traded twice before he even became a pick. Ironically enough, the other piece in that trade was Tanner Ludke, the kid from Minnesota that we saw at this year's draft. So for nothing, Bill Armstrong has turned into Tanner Ludke is yet to be seen. Andrew Ladd, you can say he helped with the culture at the time when they needed help with the culture.
I keep saying it.
Yep, the master and the culture shift from with Bear. I think that he started to bring that in, and you look at JJ Moser. Honestly, like we'll talk deeper in this. This kid can play.
Yeah,
and I for a guy that really, it's a second round pick, and we've talked about draft picks outside of the top 15 in the first round. You might get a guy to play. He's second round, 60th overall, and he is not only an everyday defenseman, but he's an everyday important defenseman for this team. And it's going to be even more so this year without Gostisbehere, without Chychrun. He is going to have to take another step. And there's some things in his game that he is going to have to improve with the amount of ice time this kid gets.
It's funny. I do feel like Moser and Michelli kind of came up around the same time because we were in Tucson and thinking, these guys are kind of that next player called up mentality, and once he got called up, that was it. He never went back. And like you mentioned, he played 43 games that first season, 21-22, and then a full 82 last season.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, with all the changes on their blue line, and I know this is going to be ironed out in camp. I'm curious to see who he's going to play with, if he's going to have a regular defensive partner, if they'll rotate guys for matchups. I don't know what they'll do. You like to have some chemistry, obviously, with your blue line partner. When I talked to Bill, he thought he slotted best alongside Matt Dumba, but he was quick to say, look, there's a lot that you find out in camp, and that's going to be on Andre and the coaches to decide where he fits best. But he thought his game in some ways was similar to Jonas Brodin's, so he thought he would be a fit alongside of him. Obviously, Matt Dumba played with him for a long time.
And we talked about this, Greg, going into training camp. You could put all these names on a piece of paper and you go, oh, I think this guy's going to be great with this guy. And you get him on the ice and you go, you know what? They just don't click. So having said that, you're right. I think for him, he was one of the things at defense, when you're playing with 7 defensemen, you better be able to play with everybody. And that's one thing with Andre. I don't know if he's going to play 7 this year. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see what the mix looks like. But if he does, his defenseman becomes situational, very situational. And so sometimes you're not always out with your 5-on-5 partner, but you have to be able to rotate. And he's versatile enough that he can play with a lot of different people. But training camp is going to be interesting now because with Durzi and Dumba coming in on the right side, I think that gives the opportunity for Valimaki and Moser to solidify a more everyday spot, I think. But again, TBD as camp rolls on.
On a team with a lot of right shot defensemen, he is a left shot. So that helps balance out, I think, this left-right situation that you have. But it's funny because earlier this summer when we had the whiteboard with all the lines, which has now come up 3 different times given all the moves this team has made, we often wondered, and that was before Dumba. Durzi was already in the picture, but I mean, I guess it begs the question, and we'll find this out in the PD's Puck Talk, but does JJ Moser have the potential to be a number 1 D-man?
I'm curious.
And I think you guys have opposing views
and I don't know what PD thinks after his deep dive with his PD's Puck Talk, too. To me, a number 1 defenseman has to be able to provide you with a significant amount of offense, significant amount of points. He's got to be a great puck mover. You got to have some of those elements. You got to be a 200-foot guy, obviously, because you're going to log heavy minutes. You're going to face really tough matchups all the time. I'm not sure JJ Moser is that guy. Having said that, I definitely think he can play high in the lineup. I mean, I think he can be a number 2 guy that protects one of those guys, or he could be a second pair guy, like a number 3 guy in a lineup.
I think, and this is by no means is this a knock on JJ Moser. If he goes and plays for the Vegas Golden Knights, he's not a top pair defenseman. You're talking about a team that's winning a Stanley Cup with very experienced 6 defensemen, but he slots in on your second pair. For the Arizona Coyotes right now, where they at in their rebuild, he might be their top pair defenseman only because we've already talked about this. Their back end may be one of their areas that they need to continue to improve on and take steps in. So I think by default, you're looking at Moser or Valimaki. He's got to be on the top pair, and their games are similar. Mm-hmm. But by default, Moser might be a top pair guy just because of the roster they're putting on the ice. On a team that's ready to win a cup, if he's on your second pair, you got a good defense.
Yeah. And Michael brings up a very important point in the chat. JJ's got the drip too.
See, I wondered about the drip game, and as I did the deep dive, surprising to no one, I did not venture down the fashion train. I don't know what his drip is. I didn't pay attention to his drip. I know he's underrated, but his name does come up a lot in the drip game.
Yeah. And another thing I just thought was interesting, and this is a quick aside, because you said you didn't go down the rabbit hole of looking at the Coyotes Instagram or perhaps JJ Moser's own Instagram, but this is where my 27-year-old self tends to go. And NHL has launched a NHL Australia account in preparation for the trip, and they did a whole Q&A spotlight thing on JJ Moser, and I just thought that was really interesting given the fact that this trip, to Australians, they're marketing kind of the marquee players on the Coyotes and the Kings. And who knows the reasoning? Maybe it was just he was available. But I thought it was a very interesting decision. And I know we don't have to read too much into that. I did just take note of the fact that they made that decision.
Yeah, I know Mike Rousseau sat down with him for 15 minutes. He was reaching out to me really? What do I need to know about this guy? And yeah. So they definitely put him front and center. Interesting.
Yeah, there you have it. Well, I think we should kind of give the floor to PD here in a minute to take this deep dive. This is the all-time record in PD's podcast.
It is. It's a lot of slides. And I said I was going to take a quick glance at this one. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes.
We might have to tell PD the night before.
I'll talk really fast.
Instead of a week before on who we want to do the deep dives on. But before we get to that, I don't know, maybe one day JJ Moser will be in Norris contention. I don't know. That might be getting too ahead of ourselves, but for now, you can actually bet on who's going to win the Norris at the end of this season. That's already available on BetMGM, as well as the Vezina, the Hart, and all sorts of Stanley Cup odds as well. I always recommend getting in on these before the season starts because the lines will move daily once the season does, and you can already bet today on all of the opening night games for the NHL. So that's available now on BetMGM. Make sure you sign up for BetMGM. If you haven't yet, it's super easy. You just use the bonus code PHNX when you sign up. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. If it loses, you can check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
Craig, before the show, was talking about how all he ate this weekend was bone broth. How excited are you to eat Illegal Pete's?
I miss Illegal Pete's big time.
Like a real,
big time.
a real meal, not just broth.
I just want to eat a vat of queso right now. Yeah,
now that you're back on your feet, Illegal Pete's is the perfect place for you to rejuvenate after your illness of the last week. But Illegal Pete's, stop by. It's Margarita Monday today. It's Taco Tuesday tomorrow. You can come up with any reason to go all the other days of the week because they have happy hour every single day from 3 to 8 p.m. at all 12 locations. You can stop by the Mill Ave location in Tempe or the University location in Tucson. Phenomenal margs, phenomenal bowls. We talk about the queso all the time. Great place to watch sports as well. They have a bar, TVs, all of it. A patio once it cools down a little bit. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer for 28 years.
Love that.
All right.
Are we going to be turning off the lights during this, like in classroom, so I can
get a good pillow?
I can sleep in the back row.
All right, Professor Petey.
I was trying to add a few more slides here before we kept going.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
No, I was not serious.
Professor Petey.
Well, it's time.
It's time.
It's Monday. It's Moser Monday, and it's time for another Petey's Puck Talk. Here we go. Let's take a deep dive into JJ Moser, and let's start right off with the draft. Let's go to the 2021 NHL entry draft where he became an Arizona Coyotes. And do you know what? Since that draft, he is first in the National Hockey League by games by a defenseman with 125. Owen Power, who was picked first overall, is second. And there are 14 defensemen that were drafted ahead of JJ Moser that have yet to play one NHL game. 14 defensemen. He's second in total games played behind Columbus's Cole Sillinger. First in points by defensemen drafted in 2021 with 46. And he's third overall in points by any player drafted in 2021 behind Matty Beniers. Heard of him?
Yep.
And Mason McTavish of a high scoring player for the Anaheim Ducks. He is third in points by players in that draft. Just to give you an idea of how quickly his career has progressed as a young player.
Especially as a defenseman.
Next is his time on ice. This number shocked me. He was first in total ice time for all players on the Arizona Coyotes last season. Second place was Clayton Keller with minutes behind him, 25 minutes behind him. He's third in total ice per game time on ice, behind only Chychrun and Gostisbehere, who played more minutes per game. And he's 34th in time on ice for all NHL defensemen. I know 34th, well, that's a long way down. Well, there's 32 teams, and he's 34th. Drew Doughty was first. Like, we're talking, these guys aren't 23-year-old kids playing the kind of minutes he's playing. So just to give you an idea of the kind of minutes he has logged as a 23-year-old kid is unbelievable. So that's where he starts. Now, why? So let's look at why, and it starts with his defending. So one of the skills he has and makes him such a good defender is his speed. We talked about how quick he is, and he can skate forwards quickly, backwards quickly, and he is one-on-one. And we'll see some of the players he goes one-on-one against. He is absolutely elite. When you watch this slide, and again, if you're listening, YouTube might be a better option right now, because on this play, you're going to see Daniel Sprong from the Seattle Kraken make a play up the ice, and we call this surfing, where you're skating forwards as a defender and defending, skating forward instead of skating backwards. He turns, opens up his hits, pivots, and he closes off Daniel Sprong. And not only does he close him off and pinch him off, he gains possession of the puck. His ability to angle the player off, no matter He's 175 pounds, but he's not huge.
Nope.
But his technique is phenomenal at edging a player off. Here's another one, and this time it's Oliver Bjorkstrand. This happens to be, again, from Seattle. One-on-one foot race with Oliver Bjorkstrand, who is a very quick and speedy player. As they get down the ice, doesn't give him a lane, doesn't allow Bjorkstrand to get to the net, has to hold up, pull up, and eventually get pushed off the puck by Moser, again, because of that one-on-one speed. Now, it's ironic that these clips happen to be all against Seattle for this particular
This is
thing.
what they're showing in their team meetings next time they play the Coyotes.
This is Jared McCann, led the team in scoring, one of their best players. He has a step on JJ Moser off of the faceoff, and by the blue line, he's almost caught him. By the other blue line, he's ahead of him, and before he gets an opportunity to shoot, JJ Moser's got a stick on puck, broken up the play, and there is no offensive opportunity. His ability to catch players between the blue lines is elite. And when I say elite, I don't want to exaggerate. It is elite. Like, these are really talented players that he was able to catch using his speed. So speed is one of his greatest assets. Second is his stick. Phenomenal stick work, like exceptional stick work. And we talk about stick work with a defenseman being able to get stick on puck. One of the things that can happen is if they lunge, you're beat. If you lunge as a defenseman, it means you push your arm forward, you're off balance, and a player can go around you, especially the high talented players in this league. But his ability to get stick on puck off of the rush and against, again, very quick and speedy players, his ability to get stick on puck. Here's two examples off of the rush where he's able to kill the rush, just stick on puck. And on the bottom, that's Elias Pettersson, from the Vancouver Canucks, one-on-one. Sticks with him. He's quick enough. His stick gets in the lane, and Pettersson fires it into his stick, and it goes into the stands. Again, his stick work is phenomenal. Very, very difficult to get around him one-on-one. You're going to see another thing that makes him so good defensively is anticipation. Because he is so quick and his ability to move his feet so well, he can anticipate a play and get on top of it and smother it before it even starts. Here's a play against the San Jose Sharks where he's on the blue line. He sees the defenseman has the puck on the other end of the ice, but he knows where the pass is coming. He's able to jump on that player immediately when he receives the puck. And again, it's stick on puck, and he poke checks it off, and he's got the puck. It happens so quickly because of his ability to skate and close those gaps quickly. You see it again, anticipation. He's way back on the blue line. The puck's a long way away, and all the way down in the offensive zone for the Coyotes. But he anticipates that pass, and he jumps the pass, meaning as soon as he feels that puck's going, he jumps it with his quick feet, stick on puck, and he allows Christian Fischer to go back the other way quickly. So his anticipation, his speed, and his stick allow him to be a really strong defender. But all of these things lead up to why he's so good. You look at a neutral zone gap. This league is fast. You talk about getting through the neutral zone quickly. Because he is so strong on his feet and he's so quick on his skates, he can tighten that gap. What does that mean? He means the player he is defending, he can get really close to that player. Now, we talked about Adrian Aucoin back in those days of 2012. Adrian was slower. So Adrian gave up a bigger gap knowing, hey, I can't catch up with these guys. I'm not fast enough. And when you give a bigger gap, you're going to give up opportunities. With JJ Moser closing the gap before that player even has the puck, you're giving up so many fewer opportunities off the rush. So his ability to close that gap in the neutral zone makes him, again, an elite defender. And you're going to see this here again. His ability, even when the puck's at the red line, he's able to get up quickly, tighten gaps. And again, you see on this clip, again, against Seattle, he's got such a good stick that players aren't able to get offensive zone opportunities against him. This one is one of my favorite pictures. I wish I could show this on a video. This is the Edmonton Oilers. He literally, Dave Tippett used to have a saying in the room, everybody get your man, good guys take two. So JJ Moser on this rush, it was a read of the rush. He's actually able to defend two Edmonton Oilers at the same time, one with a stick and one with his hand. And he actually kills this play along the wall because he is so good at stick on puck, breaks up the play before it even gets to the offensive zone. One of the things I was concerned about was his ability to box out. We talk about stopping the opposing team from getting to the front of the net and getting scoring opportunities from the front of the net. He's 175 pounds. He's a slight kid that will only continue to grow. But we talk about his defensive technique. He is stick on puck. He gets under stick of the players, and he beats them to the spot. Rick Tocchet used to talk about players need to beat your opponent to a spot and then just hold that spot. Moser, again, with his speed, can get to those box outs quickly, and he takes away the opponent's stick. So even though he'll get stronger, he is very good at boxing players out in front of the net. And in the defensive zone, your goal is to get plays stopped. Don't allow teams to get active in your zone, make passes, and move around your zone and create opportunities. You can see Moser in front of the net covering the Seattle Kraken player, but as the other defenseman loses the check, he immediately releases his man. He he is so quick at reacting and getting on the puck, stick on puck, and we call it pinning the player to the boards. He pushes the player to the boards. He holds stick on one side, arm on the other side. That player can't move. This allows the Coyote player to pick up the puck and go out the other way. His ability to stop a puck with bigger, stronger players, it is all about technique. His ability to pin players against the wall and stop the play. Here it is again. Chicago, he goes so far in this play. That's a huge play from the front of the net to the wall. Anticipate it, quick feet, stick on puck, and then all he has to do is pin his player. Pins his player to the wall. He doesn't worry about the puck. Let somebody else worry about the puck. I got the player. So here in this instance, it allows the Coyote forward to come in behind and pick up the puck. So his ability to stop plays in the defensive zone makes him an incredibly talented defender. Here's one more against Dallas where he gets a stop. Anticipates it. Arm on one side, stick on the other. By the way, that technique can draw penalties. Just throwing it out there. I know Rick Tocchet hated defensemen with a free hand. But again, he pins the Dallas player, can't move, allows his teammate to come in and pick up the puck. And here is one thing to watch when the season starts, and this is why he might end up being a top pair. He plays against the best players on the other team. When the Edmonton Oilers throw out Connor McDavid, JJ Moser is jumping over the boards. And here you can see, look how quick he can get to the front of the net. This is Connor McDavid. He is the fastest player along with McKinnon in the National Hockey League. JJ Moser beats him to the puck and is able to get the puck up the wall before McDavid can even get there. So you want him on the ice against the best players on the ice. Here he is against McDavid one-on-one. Again, he's able to stay in front of him, stick on puck, and put the puck into the plexiglass. McDavid doesn't skate around him. He can't get around and drive the net. His hips turn and he deflects the puck into the stands. Here he is against McKinnon. He's on the ice. Same thing. His ability to skate backwards and stick on puck. Here he is against Roope Hintz, Dallas Stars' fastest player. Again, backs up, stick on puck, breaks the play up right at the blue line. Here he is against Trevor Zegras. Again, one of the most talented, skilled players in the league. This time he's skating forwards. We talk about surfing through the neutral zone so he can skate forwards. He ends up shifting backwards. And again, stick on puck, drives Zegras to the corner. So when you see the best players in the National Hockey League on the ice, expect to see JJ Moser on the ice as well. Penalty killing. Elite penalty killer. And one of the things he does, all of the things he does 5-on-5, he does on the penalty kill. Blue line entries, stick on puck, pushes guys to the wall, stops the play dead before it even gets in the zone. Here's two examples of it again. Here's one against Chicago. Stick on puck, dumps the puck the other end of the ice. His anticipation and his ability to move quickly. This is you're going to see in the next slide. He gets, again, it's Connor McDavid coming around the horn. He anticipates it, gets out, able to block the pass across where it's that tap into Draisaitl. He's able to get low and block that pass. He's so aggressive. And most defensemen won't take a play from the front of the net all the way to the wall, but you're going to see here against Kyle Connor, all the way to the wall on the penalty kill. And again, his stick is in a lane, so Connor can't make a play. He's such an effective penalty killer because of his speed and his stick. And he blocks shots, and he eats a lot of shots. Here you're going to see several pictures of him on the power play, getting down on the knee, sacrificing his body, willing to take and block shots. Now we're going to talk about his offensive zone. Things might change a little bit here. In the offensive zone, the first thing he does is he defends in the offensive zone. So one of the things he does extremely well in the offensive zone is he's able to hold the blue line. When the other team is trying to break out, his speed and quickness, again, tight gap in the offensive zone. So he's able to hold that blue line and keep the puck in the offensive zone for longer and able to get more offensive opportunities because he's able to hold the puck in the offensive zone. You're going to see it again here. Vancouver's breaking out 3-on-1 against JJ Moser, but he's able to tighten the gap, stick on puck, keep the puck in the zone, and give the Coyotes another opportunity to get a chance on the net. Here he is again. That's a long way for a defenseman to go, all the way down to the top of the circle, but he's so quick, skates so well, anticipates it, breaks up the play before San Jose can break out of the zone again for more time in the offensive zone. His shot, now we're going to start going in another direction. Good shot. He was 6th in shots per game by defensemen on the Coyotes last year. Doesn't shoot much. His shots per game total is very low. Here he has a good shot where he ends up getting a goal and he scores. We talk about not taking many, but he's 2nd in shooting percentage. He trailed only Gostisbehere in shooting percentage from the back end. This season, he's going to have to take a step to shoot the puck more often. And now we're going to start getting into one more offensive zone thing. I'm sorry. With offensive zone, he's really quick. We talk about his speed and his active O-zone, especially with Schmaltz and Keller, how they move so much in the offensive zone. Moser's so quick, and he's able to find areas in the ice, move around, beat his opponent there. And here's another goal he scored off of being active in the offensive zone on a pass he receives from Keller, 1 time at the top of the net. So he can shoot. He just needs to do it more often. Now it's time for his improvements. I'm not hard on this kid. He's 23. And I put the disclaimer on the slide. He's 23. He's a 23-year-old kid that's still finding his way. And it's not completely his fault. And I'll tell you why. So let's look at the first thing is his puck movement. The puck movement in this end, here he is on a breakout play on his forehand. Center is low and slow. He makes a perfect pass, tape to tape, and the Coyotes are able to get out of the zone because he's on his forehand. He does such a nice job on his forehand. Unfortunately, last season, he played on the right side as a left-hand defenseman. In the early days, he was playing with Valimaki on the right. Then he played with Nemeth, and he played on the right-hand side. And this is where he struggles. And he reminds me of Hjalmarsson in the defensive zone. So here he is on playing the right side as a left-handed defenseman, trying to break out. We showed how good he is when he has time to turn it and get it on his forehand. These two plays, they look like the same play, but they're different. He's on his backhand, and if he was on his forehand right now, he would see the ice better. He would be able to make that play to the inside or in the lower slide, make that play behind the net because he is on his forehand facing up ice. But because he's on his backhand and his shoulders turns to the middle of the ice, he throws the puck away. And he doesn't take time and manage the puck to try to turn it to his forehand and make a better play. He swats at it on his backhand, and he turns the puck over a lot in the defensive zone, especially on breakout plays.
And this is something you explained to me over the weekend that I didn't fully understand. Yeah.
And now you see the picture of it. If he's on his forehand right now, the puck is facing the middle of the ice. Now he can make that tape-to-tape pass, even to the weak side defenseman, which is a dangerous pass, but you can make it because you can see it. Now let's look at him in the offensive zone on his backhand. Here he is on the right defense as a left defenseman here. To get the puck off of the wall, you have to go to your backhand. Now your back is facing the middle of the ice. You can't make that pass to your teammate, to your partner on the blue line. It's really, really hard. And Nicholas Hjalmarsson was a defensive defenseman that couldn't be relied on to make this play to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They wanted to pair them together, but he couldn't make this pass in the offensive zone to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, so he couldn't play with them. Yep. And here's Moser. He's stuck. There's nothing he can do from this backhand position except throw the puck away back into the zone, which is exactly what happened. He ended up turning the puck over here. I think with the addition of all these right-hand defensemen, you're going to see him getting on the other side of the ice, which is definitely going to help. But here he is. The other thing he doesn't do is he doesn't take time with the puck. And I think that is because he's still young and his puck movement, he doesn't take time to assess the situation. The puck gets on his stick, and it's a flip pass where he just takes it and he flips it over everybody. Instead of making a pass tape to tape or looking for a better play or even holding the puck and bringing the puck back to make a play, he quickly just throws it. And you'll see how many times he just flips the puck out to the neutral zone. Same thing Hammer did. Hjalmarsson would throw the puck out to the neutral zone just to defend, and I'll live another day. Here he is on the top plays on his backhand, so he feels he has no other play but to throw it away. In the second slide, he is playing on the left side. He has time to make the play. You can see right there, the winger, it's 24. Who's 24? I don't even know who 24 is. I've got to get back in my rhythm here. Was that Mackey? Was 24? Playing on the right side?
No, wasn't Mackey like 5?
The two might have been 12. Kesselring was 5. But the play is right there. It's an easy tape-to-tape pass to the forward skating right in front of him. But instead, he flips it over everyone, and it's a turnover. So he's got to get to be more patient with the puck.
24 McBain?
And you're going to see... He's 22. You're going to see plays under pressure. See it with the play right here is to Krause. Quick play up the wall to Krause. It's tape-to-tape to Krause. That's the play. He's open instead, flips it over everybody. The Dallas defenseman picks the puck up at the red line, and they attack again, and they defend more. You're going to see, again, puck under pressure. He just has to learn to calm down and be confident with the puck, and I think that happens over time. Yeah, Here's just a middle. He throws the puck up the middle of the ice to San Jose, and on the bottom, instead of making a quick play, because, again, he's on his backhand, he keeps eating the puck, and ultimately he turns the puck over along the wall. But if that's his only limitation, I do think he will increase and get better because he is going to play on the left side. And we talked about playing with either Durzi or Dumba. The Dumba pair is interesting to me because that not only is you're going to add some offense with Dumba, but that is your number one defending pair. Like that pair is jumping over the boards in every situation to play against the best players. So I see that pair being very solid. Yeah, that's your number one pair. They can defend very well. And then Durzi jumps over with Valimaki. That's an offensive zone start for me. Even if it ends up being Durzi, I do like him better on the left side. And I think you're going to see his offensive game flourish. He's 23. And we talked about there was only one player that played regular last season that was younger. and it was Matias Maccelli by only 4 months. And defense is much harder to play than offense for a young player coming into the game. And I compare him and his game to the way a young Teppo Numminen played.
Wow.
Where he could go into the corner with his stick work and the way he defended. And I did ask some people in the organization, did they see it too? And they saw that I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy, but there were people that saw his skating stride, his ability to close plays off in the corner and defend the front of the net, even at his size and stature. And that is today's Monday Moser Monday, and another Petey's Puck Talk.
I love that you're giving yourself a round of applause, but you deserve it. You deserve it. That was great. Couple things. Brett Ritchie was 24. Thank you, chat.
Oh.
I was Googling that frantically, but
thanks, Watts.
I guess you give the Teppo Numminen comparison. I guess the other thing is if you're comparing his worst traits to Hjalmarsson, that's a pretty good.
Who is an elite guy that's carried the cup over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if that's what he becomes,
okay.
Boy howdy.
Yeah.
And I really do think playing on the left.
Could have the best defensive defenseman trophy named after him. He was
he should be.
Like the best defensive defenseman.
Completely agree.
A couple questions off of this. He is going to play on the left side. I mean, you saw the right-handed defenseman. They recognize it as well. So knowing that and looking at his abilities, aside from the tentativeness with the puck, the lack of confidence to hold on to puck to look for a better play, what's his upside offensively? One of the things that I watch with him, and I don't know if he's going to get any power play time anymore, he was hesitant to shoot the puck from the top. And that was one of their weaknesses on the power play because he wasn't a threat.
Wasn't an option.
They knew he was just going to pass. What is his upside offensively?
I think he can be a good offensive defenseman. He's not going to be Yandel or Oliver when he was at his heyday. He's not going to be Sean Durzi. So the one thing about acquiring Durzi on the right-hand side now, Durzi's your guy. Durzi's the dynamic guy that's going to deliver the puck quickly, make those plays that are like, wow, look at that play he made, and he's going to be the guy that's going to shoot more often. I expect Dumba and Durzi to lead this team in shots by the defense. I think they'll replace what you saw out of Gostisbehere and Chychrun last season. I think he can be better than Hjalmarsson was on the back end, because I think his change, once he gets to that side and you look up the ice and now you're facing two passing options, I think he'll become a better puck mover out of the zone. I was surprised, and I didn't realize until I did the deep dive how little he made those passes out of the zone, how much he relied on deferring to his backhand and throwing it off the wall. I was really surprised. I thought he was a better puck mover than that. And again, I'm not knocking the kid because I've seen him make good passes. He'll be better on the left. If you expect him to have the kind of points, if you see a guy that's going to get you 10 to 15 goals, probably not. I don't think he's going to get the power play time. And to your point, he didn't have that Chychrun one-time threat from the top. He'd always defer to Schmaltz or Keller and moving the puck to the flanks. So I don't think he's going to have those kind of points. I do see his assists going up. He's always had pretty good assist numbers, because I think you're going to see his style. He likes to be active and he likes to move. I think you're going to put him on the ice. He'll get opportunities. Durzi will get out there on those offensive zone opportunities. But because he moves so well, I think he will still be able to get assists. But I don't think you're ever going to look at him to provide your offense.
So knowing that he's going to be on the left side and the things that you just talked about, I'm not asking to name a specific player because, again, they're going to need to get to camp and find out all those other variables, how they work. But just as an archetype, what type of player should he play with? Who does he pair best with?
See, and that's I like him on the left-hand side. I can see him with an offensive guy that can move the puck up the ice quickly. Let him defer. Like, he can make that play D to D behind the goal line for the breakout, and he can get that to. And Dumba's a good puck mover. Durzi's better. So I wonder if they're going to try to capitalize on the offensive side and have the risk reward. Durzi's your risk guy, and JJ Moser is going to be your defender. So I wonder if he can be, because of his speed, he can recover a lot of mistakes for a guy on the right that's going to be a little more up in the play, a little more daring. So I can see him with Durzi, because I think you could play with an offensive guy. I would like to have seen him play and like a Keith Yandel, but a right-handed Keith Yandel, a guy that's going to be up in the play, joining the rush all the time. He can handle 2-on-1s. Moser can play a 2-on-1. He can get back, and if you turn the puck over, he can get back, and I don't worry about his ability to defend by himself for a minute. So a risk-reward player like a Keith Yandel on the right side, I think would be ideal. That's a perfect fit. But for this team that I think is going to struggle to defend, and I think they're going to give up a lot of opportunities, I think pairing him with Dumba gives you some security of, okay, we're fine. we got a 1-goal lead. You guys are going out every other shift. And I really like Dumba's another guy that can help him mature too. Like Dumba's played a lot of games in this league. He's an NHL pro and he can be the physical presence where Moser's the stick presence. I think it's going to be a dynamic duo. I'm really excited to see those two paired together.
Wow. Well, Petey, that was a great deep dive. As many people in the chat have said, kind of opens your eyes to JJ Moser in a whole new light. And as Dan said, that it helps to see the game so much better. I want to echo that as well, because I feel like we've really learned a lot. And it's making me excited to watch these players now over the course of the season to, look out for these things. So there is, you can find all of these on the website. We're going to compile them. There's also
I was supposed to do that last week, but
Craig got ill. But there's also a playlist on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, Petey's Puck Talk, so you can go back and watch these anytime and share them with the other hockey fans in your life. If the Coyotes are playing your friend's favorite team,
imagine that.
Forward them along.
Petey's Puck Talk for Christmas. Get the DVD.
I'm trying to get it to be like I'm sending out as scouting reports. I might have fired at some of my friends going, hey, do you need to do scout?
Exactly. No, there you go.
Should put you in a Christmas hat and sell the DVD, I think.
But don't you think, Craig, though, it's interesting, though. It's interesting because we watch as much hockey as anybody, right? We've watched this Coyotes team over the last 2 years as much as anybody, but until you do this exercise.
Yeah, because you don't get to isolate on one player. You don't get to isolate on one player.
No, this is really interesting.
So it's been helpful for me because all the players we do, I go, he does this more. So I've learned a lot by going through this exercise.
And it gets me excited about JJ Moser because he is so young at 23 that he already has all these things going for him. I mean, the improvements part of that slideshow was the smallest part.
Yeah.
Like most of that was really
I worry, though, his technique on the defensive zone, where I talk about one hand on the stick, where he almost bear hugs guys.
Yeah.
His technique is so good that he's able to pin him. But there are times if guys get away, he's going to take a holding penalty. He's going to get that, just be careful.
I just think about these sorts of pieces that you find. This is not a first-round pick we're talking about.
No.
This is a second-round pick, not even a high second-round pick, right? A late second-round pick that you got in one of these many trades that they made early on to acquire draft assets. You're talking about a top 4 defenseman that you got out of this to add to the mix. It's...
And Craig, we talk about this all the time, is how long it takes defensemen to develop in this league. There's only one defense. Well, he's played more than any other defenseman from that draft. The only one that's close is Owen Power.
He's a little bit older, right?
But, he was older. It was a second draft through. But Owen Power was the number 1 pick overall.
Yeah, and everyone knew it, right?
Yes.
Nobody was talking about JJ Moser.
I do think some of the players that were drafted ahead of him, and there were 14 defensemen that have yet to play an NHL game. Some of those players are going to play. Like there are teams that have deeper defense, or that takes longer to develop. So some of those guys, will he end up being in that class? Hughes is in that class as well. So will he be? Will he be the top 5 all-time ice in that draft defenseman? I think he will be. And he is a top 4 guy that they got at 60. Yeah. It's impressive. The kid can defend so well, and his ability to block shots and his foot speed to get to areas, it's fantastic. I'm so excited to keep a closer eye on him. And I'll be honest, Valimaki and Moser, I threw in the same basket. Like, they're very similar players, and then they're not.
Yeah.
And until you do this dive, you just don't notice it. So it was a lot of fun doing it. We'll see about next week. We'll see. I said no, but I have so much fun. We'll probably do it again.
All right. Well, there's lots to be excited about with JJ Moser, and there's lots to be excited about with Circle K, because their new membership program is free. It's called the Inner Circle, and you can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups when you join the Inner Circle. Like I said, it's free. It's new, and all you have to do is download the Circle K app today and join the Inner Circle for free. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. They're basically giving you discounts on gas for free. Just do it. Trust me, gas prices, it's expensive these days. We're all driving a lot. Circle K, they're hooking us all up. So join the Inner Circle today. Again, download the Circle K app.
Who interviewed a llama.
Max yelling for free in the background. Okay, well, before we wrap up here, there is a theme to this week at not just PHNX Sports, but ALLCITY, and it's Ranks Week. So all the cities got together and decided we're going to rank the 25 best Arizona athletes all time. Craig, actually, this was your and I suppose brainchild. So why don't you kind of explain the process behind this whole rank?
So we brought in, first of all, we brought in a panelist of longtime journalists from different platforms in the Valley.
What? Did they say that out loud?
You know, and you need that, right? You need people who have been here and seen the not the entire history of Valley sports, but a good chunk of it to have perspective on players that might have come before, well before. Some of the players that sometimes get forgotten in some of the lost ages of sports, before the internet, before social media, before all that stuff. So we put together one hell of a panel. We're not going to name that panel because they like their anonymity, but there were multiple criteria. Obviously,
and they're not all from here, right? Like they're not PHNX. They're
no.
Only a few.
All over the state. All over the state.
Yeah, this is. Yes, I wanted to make that clear.
Obviously, you have to be a great player, first of all. This is college or pro. We're not talking about high school, although some of these players that you'll see on this list developed in Arizona high schools. But it had to be major impact at the college or pro level. But that's not the only criteria. I want people to understand, too. It can be impact on the Valley, right? And what does that mean? Whether that means just you spoke to a bigger audience because of the sport you played, or you just managed to transcend your sport in some way and make an impact on the community. That was weighed in this as well. So I want people to understand that when they go through the rankings. There's going to be controversy here, right? Nobody ever agrees on a list this long. I mean, people don't agree on a list of 5, let's face it. There will be people that others believe belong on this list or don't belong on this list. So that's all open for debate. We're going to have
there's a debate going on in our Slack right now.
There's plenty of debate that's going to come out of this. I mean, honestly, there'll be debate among the panelists because we don't all agree with some of the people that are on this list.
I'm glad I'm not a panelist. Yeah, because I look at the list and like, come on, and you'll see it today. Because are we unveiling 5 today?
Yes. So it's going to be
my anger is going to show up today in today's list.
Yeah. So we're doing 5 a day for the whole week.
And we're not giving away anything else on these 5, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. But Sean, can we pull up the 5 that were revealed today, and you might recognize a face on there, because coming in at 25th is Keith Tkachuk, followed by Reggie Jackson at 24, Danny White 23. James Harden, 22, and Annika Sorenstam at 21. So it's Keith Tkachuk, and then 4 college athletes.
Do we have the umlauts, by the way?
And then 4 college athletes on his tail there. But Keith Tkachuk slides in here at number 25 on the 25 list. So what do you guys think?
You want to tee off first or me?
Well, I'm going to start with the positive. Keith Tkachuk is one of the elite American-born players in the history of the sport of hockey, period.
Yeah.
Like these guys he put up 50 goals, which is not easy to do. He was the leader of this franchise when they moved from Winnipeg to Arizona. Keith Tkachuk carried the torch for this franchise for years. A unique power forward that used his size and skill to dominate. And I'm not kidding. Dominate the National Hockey League. If I think of what Keith Tkachuk could do today's game with less hooking and pushing and shoving, he would be elite. Absolutely belongs on this list of top 25 players. He is a unique hockey player that the Coyotes were lucky to have as part of their franchise, and I think he absolutely belongs on the list of 25.
Only player in Coyotes history to top 50 goals. Only one to top 40 goals. Did that twice. Still tied with Clayton Keller for the most points in a single season. I think he's still the points per game leader in Coyotes history.
Let's pull up his accolades here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Second all-time
That's a really
in
cool
Coyotes
slide,
goals.
by the way. Did they do this for every player in the top 25?
Yep.
Holy shit.
3 times NHL All-Star. He's in the Coyotes Ring of Honor.
That's a cool list.
And you could also read more of the explanation about Keith Tkachuk's place here on the website at gophnx.com. In the story, the 25 greatest athletes in Arizona sports history, which will be updated daily, as we mentioned. The 25 through 21 are revealed right now.
Yeah.
Is it every day or once a week?
Every day.
Every day this week.
This week.
Yeah.
So the number 1 will be Friday?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So more on Tkachuk. When the Coyotes arrived in the Valley, they had to sell and explain a game to a a large fan base a large group of people who didn't know anything about hockey. Yes, there was hockey here before with the Roadrunners, with other levels, but it wasn't the breadth of knowledge wasn't what it is today. The youth programs weren't there, all of that. They had to sell the game. And while Keith Tkachuk was not the flamboyant salesman that Jeremy Roenick was in selling this game, nobody probably did more than JR on the PR side to help this team sell. Walt was out there too. Walt was doing his part, and he did it in a different way, but he was the captain of this team too. He was the unquestioned leader in that locker room. And when he went on the ice, you understood why, because Walt went to the hard areas all the time. That's where he made his living. And as Petey said, in a game that was much more physical, you got away with a lot more. He took a beating. An absolute beating in front of the net, and yet still put up the numbers that he did, was consistent. He was, in my opinion, judging the player, the actual play itself, he is still the best Coyote who has ever laced him up. He is the best player that this franchise has ever had.
So I know it's hard to talk about this not knowing the rest of the list.
Yeah, we can talk about the first five.
We know it, but do you feel just in your gut that 25 is the appropriate slot for him in all of the athletes, or do you feel like he should be higher? And you can be biased. We're the PHNX
He should absolutely be higher.
Show.
Yeah. Are we the whole fucking panel on OGs?
Well, here's the thing.
My God.
Hockey gets ignored in this market a lot. We know it gets ignored by the media a lot. And now listen,
if this was
that's
Toronto,
part of the consideration here, right? That's part of the consideration. The Coyotes do not have the spotlight that some other sports.
Fair.
And I think that matters. I think it's fair to factor that into your ranking. That said,
he wins a cup, he moves up. I get that.
Or if they get out of the first round
in
one of those
Toronto
first few
Maple
years.
Leafs, but he's top 5.
Yeah, no question.
If not top 3, if this is Toronto. I get it, but again, it's just another kick in the what's for a Coyote fan. It's just you get it. I got it.
Here's what I'll say though. When we're talking about impact and talking about spotlight, can we put up the list again?
Today's list? Yes.
Look at the guy right above him.
Great. If it's a New York or an Oakland A's Hall of Fame, love him. He'd be top 5 in Oakland. Oakland A's Hall of Fame, Reggie Jackson. Put him in.
How long did Reggie Jackson play at baseball at ASU?
New York Yankees.
He was there for a cup of coffee. Come on. He was there for a couple seasons. Really? And it's ASU baseball. If you're going to try and tell me that at any point in its history, ASU baseball had more attention on it than the Coyotes, I'm going to laugh in your face. I know how many people Packard Stadium seated. I've covered games there, okay? The Coyotes are on a different level than ASU baseball. Reggie Jackson was here for 2 years. So, no chance that Keith Tkachuk should be below Reggie Jackson on this list.
It goes back to the criteria. If it's who's the better athlete that has ever played a game in Arizona, fucking right. Put Reggie Jackson there. Oh, absolutely. Mr. October, World Series. Yes, put him there. But if it's their impact in Arizona?
Yes, exactly.
Buddy.
Yes.
Here's the truth. Saul, my boss, who's probably going to fire me right now. Actually not, because he's not. Here's Reggie Jackson. Do you know when I found out he played at ASU? Right now. Right now. And you think I'm kidding? That is 100% the truth. I had... yeah, no, that one I knew. But again, it's their impact in the state of Arizona. Yep. So to me, that's...
Yeah.
Yes.
It is interesting because we have someone disagreeing.
I swore again. I'm sorry,
we have
Dan.
someone disagreeing in the chat. Brian says that he never went out of his way to do anything except on the ice. A little community involvement would have gone a long way. At 25, he's overrated, is what Brian says.
Well,
Keith was a great Coyote, but what else?
Simply not true. He was at tons of community events. It's not true.
Yeah.
See, so Willie Blomqvist, was he a better ASU ball player than Reggie Jackson? Did Reggie Jackson make that big of an impact? I don't know, because I literally didn't know he was a Sun Devil. So clearly, I couldn't say he made a big impact at ASU. So that's my concern about this. Tkachuk belongs, and I'm sorry for swearing, Dan. Sometimes it's Monday. But when you go back to the list, the other name on here that really stands out to me on this first 5 is Annika Sorenstam. Because she changed the face of her sport. Like she is like when you talk about women's golf in this country, her name, if it's not at the top, I don't know who else is.
Yeah, she may be the best women's golfer ever. Yeah,
right.
And she was dominant at U of A too. Dominant down there.
Yeah, so
crazy how she just stepped in as a freshman and then wins the NCAA title. And
you win an NCAA tournament. You're big influence in your university's sports team, and then you become to change the face of your own sport.
Yep.
That one to me is the other one that fits. The other 3. are great athletes, and they are great nationally known athletes. And you talk about Danny White, another great quarterback, great football player. But again, when you talk about the scope of the athletes, of the ones today, how many were ASU? 3 of the 5 were ASU athletes?
Yeah.
Like is ASU like are they a power, like, DP, are they a power conference?
I got no problem with James Harden.
James Harden, I'll give you that one.
And this, listen, U of A basketball players, fans won't like to hear this, but the best player to ever play college basketball
in the state
at Arizona University is that guy right there, James Harden. Yeah. He's an NBA MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely, this comes with the school being in one of the largest media markets in the country.
Yes.
But there's definitely a slight ASU lean to this.
Yeah, and there's like a long ASU history before the other pro sports were here, too, right?
Yeah,
like,
they
we
were
haven't
the
had
only
pro
game in
sports
town.
that long.
That's
They
fair.
were, and ASU football was a big deal for a very long time.
I think they're getting a little bit of a benefit from being, like, you look at U of A basketball, for example, there's almost too many names there. Whereas you look at ASU basketball and it's like, it's James Harden. Like, there's only a handful of names that get associated with each of these individual ASU sports, and it gives them a little bit of a benefit over specifically U of A basketball, which has names for days.
Yeah. Dan said it feels like Jackson made the list for everything he did after leaving Arizona.
Right. It does. I agree with that.
I agree, Dan. And I'm sorry I swore Dan earmuffs on the kids. And Brian said Annika shot a 59 at Moon Valley. I did too, but it was after 5 holes.
That's right. I remember that. Thanks for bringing that up.
After
actually.
59.
Annika's sort of stem was
so
ridiculous.
it is exciting, and this is what happens in sports. And I was genuinely mad because I get genuinely mad at things, and that's why I'm glad I wasn't on this particular panel. But that's what sports does. It creates debate, creates discussion, and no one's right, no one's wrong, except us. We're right, and it should be more hockey players. That's just it. So, the first 5 came out today. I can't wait to see the next 20. I can't wait. I think it's exciting. So dial into PHNX every day. Get on the paper because it's great. It's a really interesting list, and it's really, we're not just taking people off the street. Like, these are informed sports people that got involved, that really understand the landscape of Arizona. So I'm really excited to see the next.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat who else you expect to see from the Coyotes in the top 20. And as always, like I mentioned, check out gophnx.com. You can click on the story, the 25 greatest athletes in Arizona sports history. It will be updated daily, and stay tuned to the PHNX Sports social media channels as well for those lists. But Keith Tkachuk coming in at number 25, and we will stay tuned for more Coyotes, and we will discuss I guess the list as a whole later in the week as well.
Oh, is that so? Is it 5, 10, 15, 20? Yeah, it's Friday.
There you go, buddy.
So Friday's show. So I know what Friday's show is going to be. Bring your muffs.
Oh man. Oh yeah. No kids in the car because there might be some swearing. Who knows?
All right.
Sorry.
But while you're perusing the website, thinking about the greatest athletes in Arizona sports history, open a new tab and click on phnxlocker.com because we have a monster sale going on this week. A monster sale.
Phenomenal sale.
The countdown to kickoff is here. All t-shirts and hats are $24 today until Friday. $24 for all of this. It's a huge, huge discount. Get on the website, phnxlocker.com. Craig's wearing his PHNX letter tee. Petey's wearing his PHNX flag tee.
I need to replace this shirt, so
maybe this is the week.
Buddy, they're this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You want to get
and there's some fire shirts on that list.
Some gifts for people.
I need a new hat.
You get ahead on your holiday shopping. Why not? Or just surprise the people in your life with some shirts. Just get some for yourself. The new D-back shirt is fire.
I got it for my kid already. The D-back. Don't tell him. He's not listening.
And there's a ton of reasons to buy all these shirts because D-backs, they're like making a playoff push. Yes. So support the D-backs.
Get a D-back shirt. The new one's fire.
Suns, Coyotes, and Cardinals seasons are literally around the corner. So the worst is when you open your closet, you're like going to a bar to meet some friends, go to a game, and you look in your closet and you realize like, I don't have an Arizona Cardinals shirt. Well, phnxlocker.com, $24. You're not going to find
get one for each sport.
Anything cheap.
There you go.
Yep.
I
just
do.
Make
so
sure
you can
you're covered.
Wrap each one. I'm telling you, I'm fired up.
All
the
t-shirts
Suns are
and
supposed
hats.
to be good, but they're
$24.
The Cardinals are a team.
phnxlocker.com. Check it out. And while you're shopping for your clothes and you're feeling the spirit of buying in support of your favorite team, check out foco.com because they have, I like to say, gadgets and gizmos. I feel like the Little Mermaid when I say that. But check out Foco. They have
bingo hoppers.
Yes, they have your back for Arizona sports. A ton of our bobbleheads and gadgets and gizmos are courtesy of FOCO. So check them out online at FOCO.com and use that code PHNX. And for all non-presale items, you can use the code PHNX for 10% off. Okay. Before we head out, we do have a super chat from our friend Roaring Fork. And it says, does JJ Moser change anything on anyone's philosophy on drafting overagers? I don't really have a philosophy on this, so I'll pass. But
I don't know that he changes the philosophy. I just think it has to be in your bag, right? You have to be aware of those players, guys who might be able to make an impact like JJ Moser. And they were scouting the heck out of him. They were all over him, wanting to get him in the fold, and it paid off.
Yeah, it paid off. I don't know if it changes my mind either. I think the draft is so difficult. And we've talked about this again. I've used that phrase 3 times on the show, but it's true. We talked about the NHL draft going to a year older because it's so hard to predict. A lot of these kids are 17 going right up to the draft. I mean, they're kids. Like, I'd love to see it go older. I think you get a better read on players. So it's not surprising that a player can take a jump in that year where he went undrafted in his first draft. So yeah, I think him specifically, I'd hate to say it changes the whole pattern, but I think the whole draft should be older.
There you have it. Well, before we wrap up, we have an exciting thing coming up later this week. If you were there, you got to be there, and it was the town hall, the diehard only meeting in our Discord. The first theme was Petey's Puck Talk, some insider stories
hockey
as well.
stuff,
yeah. I mean,
some tech issues. We had some sidebar stories.
We made it work.
Yep.
And we're gonna have another one this Thursday, 6 p.m. in our Discord. So if you're not a diehard, become one today so you can join that in our Discord. It's going to be a fun. The theme is Petey in the bubble. We're going to get stories from inside the bubble. As Petey mentioned last week, there were no media there. So we're going to get his first-hand account, stories of what was going on in there, all the shenanigans, what the Coyotes were up to in the bubble, pictures.
Never before seen pictures and videos.
Yep.
Inside the bubble. Craig wasn't in the bubble.
There was no actual bubble, though, was there?
It's interesting. There is not a bubble. You know the show that they had the bubble in CBS, and there's no actual bubble. But I didn't know what the bubble was until the bus pulled into the bubble. And I have the video. I rolled my phone as the bus rolled into the bubble.
You were a journalist even then, Petey.
So I've got the picture of the bus rolling into the bubble. And if you can, I was going to say, if you miss it Thursday at 6, what happens, Leah? You miss it.
Yep. You got to be there. It's
one time
before
live.
the ASU football game starts, so you can. That's your pregame. Get out your 4 Peaks, your OGs, whatever it is, and log into Discord for that. It's going to be a ton of fun. So that's this Thursday at 6 again in our Discord. More information coming later in the week. But great show again today, Petey. Thank you for all your hard work diving into JJ Moser.
A lot of fun.
We appreciate it, and everybody here in the chat, we appreciate you. Be sure to hit the thumbs up on this video before you head out. And if you're listening on audio, leave us a review, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow all of us on Twitter at SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, at Sean_DePaz. You can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Coyotes. This is your 5-second PSA that the Arizona Coyotes tweet yesterday meant nothing other than just what we all know already. Just yay.
Hype in the season.
Yeah, hype in the season. That I felt like we needed to address that. And we will see everybody tomorrow live on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel at 11 a.m. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday, everyone, and we'll see you all tomorrow.